Hello everyone, this is Nur Fathiha Tahiat. I hope I'm visible. Am I? So, let me know if I'm visible. Okay, so yes, hello. I'm excited as well. So yes, let's start our today's session. So okay, I'll be presenting my screen. Mm, yes, I hope my screen is visible. Is it? I guess so. Yes. Let us wait for one more minute. So, let's see if some other people wants to join or not. Then let's start in within 9 and 3. Yes. Hello, Bernardo. Sorry, I don't know if I have pronounced the name correct or not. And hello, Sananda. Yes. Okay. Oh, I look a bit worried. Okay. I have heard the background. Yes, that's the problem. Okay, let's see if it gets corrected or not. Or maybe it's due to some network issues as always. Okay, so I guess it's time. So let's dive deep in. So hello everyone, welcome to today's session about introduction to AWS Identity and Access Management, which we know as IAM. So if you're a student and you want to kickstart your career with AWS and cloud technologies, so this session can be a great place to kickstart your journey. And here you can see a link. So we will be talking about the student resources at the very end of this session. So you can stay tuned and yes, without further ado, let's get started. So who am I? I'm Nur Fathiha Tahiat. I'm currently doing my master's in computer science and engineering at BRAC University, Bangladesh. And I'm currently working as a senior manager at a renowned NGO named Peace here in Bangladesh. And also I'm a cloud captain, AWS cloud captain, and I have 6 Microsoft certificates. So if you need any sort of assistance regarding AWS IAM, and related technologies, you can reach out to me on the social media. Social media, the handles are given below. So yes, what's coming? Why we are here? Like, so we have a reason, right? So our today's session's topics are: firstly, we will get introduced to cloud computing. We will know some of the benefits of using cloud, specifically AWS Cloud. We will know about AWS Global Infrastructure, and then we will know about how to do root user protection, like what AWS does to do the root user protection, MFA, what we call MFA stuff. Then we will know what it's needed for us to know about identity and access management. We will wrap up with some quick summary and a Q&A session. So yes, what is cloud computing? Right? Like what is cloud? Cloud is basically like a network of servers, a network of remote servers that are connected online and that like provides us computing resources, that provides us like platform. Cloud services can be like it can be memories services, it can be compute services, it can also be an infrastructure like AWS itself. It provides us an infrastructure where we can build our own services, and also cloud can give us platforms like which we as for infrastructure as a service we call it IaaS, and for platform as a service we call it PaaS. And yes, cloud computing, it also provides us like SaaS, what we call as software as a service. Like we have various softwares, like for example Canva and some other software which we use the version as web app. Even WhatsApp, we use the version web app, right? It's basically an SaaS service. So yes, that's how cloud computing helps us. So we do not need to download the software and install it into our local devices, and we do not need to be bothered about the underlying infrastructure. We can simply use it over the internet. I hope that's all right. But now, some people have a confusion or a doubt that cloud is not secure. They think that if we use cloud computing, for example, WhatsApp, if we like upload our pictures to WhatsApp and like using WhatsApp web, or if we like use any other cloud computing resources, like for personal use or for like our confidential data uses. So they think that we make our data publicly available if we use cloud computing. Like there are many people still today, they think that like cloud is not safe. Even for when we like talk about any deployment of our software, if we think about to deploy it on like using cloud, using AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, they think that the first like doubt that comes up is like, will cloud be a safe option? So here I want to ask a question. So money in the banks are tend to be more secure, or money at our home? Like you know that we keep sometimes we keep our money at home, but when we like build that much like security infrastructure for our money at our homes, like, banks have more security protocol. They have more policies and more layers to safeguard the assets, right? So same thing goes for cloud. If we build our solution on premises and we host that locally, we may give it some level of security. But if we talk about like the, if we talk about to be more secure, like uh, yes, we will be covering it in a few minutes. But I would like to give you a little bit of glimpse. So banks, or sorry, not banks, cloud platforms like AWS or Azure, they will have more layers of security. They will have it like for AWS. We will be learning that how AWS IAM work, how MFA work. So these are the security like stuffs that cloud work, like cloud implements to keep safe our data. So I hope you get the answer right. So now, let us look at some of the benefits of cloud computing. So cloud provides pay-as-you-go computing resources. Like you do not have to pay more than what you use. Like if you use a certain portion of a service, you will not be like if you use it for half an hour, you will not be paying it for 1 hour. So I hope it's clear that you pay for only those portion of resources that you use, not like not any more than that. And also, cloud tech provides benefits from economies of scale. What we mean by economies of scale, it means that like we were talking about on-premises hosting versus cloud hosting, right? So if we build our data centers or our system infrastructure on premises, it will take us a lot more amount of money than like hosting it simply on cloud. So cloud cloud provides us this benefit from economies of scale because cloud is handling trillions and trillions of data. We do not even we cannot even imagine how much data it's processing in 1 microsecond, or even like below that. Okay, let me just quickly check if here. Yes, I so here. Yeah. So benefits from economies of scale that cloud provides us. And therefore, like in cloud computing, we do not need to guess the capacity needs. We can scale it or scale out anytime. Or also there, if we set our if we customize in that way that like if we have a certain service and we need to scale up, our cloud platform itself will notify us. We do not need to be every time we do not need to be bothered about like if the capacity needs to be increased. Like, we do not need to be bothered about those stuff. And also cloud provides us an increased speed and agility for IT resources. Yes. And we can, without any other technical stuffs, we can simply focus on the project. We do not need to be thinking about the codes and the development stuff. We can simply focus on the project. So with the past environment, the platform as a service, it provides a lot more like uh, convenience to the developer or the administrator to like focus on the project. They uh, do not have the responsibility of like managing the codes and like so on and so forth. And with cloud, we can deploy our application globally in minutes. So the time we do not need that much time. I guess the benefits of cloud computing are are somehow clear. So let us look forward. So what is Amazon Web Service? What is AWS? AWS is a broad and deep platform that helps customers build sophisticated, scalable, and secure applications. Right. So like AWS is a like vast platform, and like it has many like sophisticated uh, yes services that you can use. But AWS, it comes with a responsibility, like what we call as shared responsibility model. But if we are using AWS, not only AWS that is like providing us some platform or the services, but we also have the responsibility to secure our own account. Like if we have a certain account and we have certain access, we need to make sure that our accesses are treated safely. Okay, we will be illustrating this in earlier minutes. So yes, let us look at some examples. So I have mentioned that we will be covering the AWS global infrastructure. So what did I mean by this? Okay, so suppose in your office you have a software system. Suppose that's an employee management system, and your office, like other offices, your office also do not trust AWS or other cloud platforms. So your office, you guys host the software from your like local devices, like you host it on premises, and you have on premises data centers and all. So in your laptop, suppose you have the pictures of all the employees. Okay, so your laptop stores all the employee details, suppose their phone number, addresses, and their the pictures. And suddenly one day on like 11th of January, you come to office and you open up your laptop and like boom, what you say that every of the like employee ID, employee addresses, employee pictures, everything is vanished. Nothing is there, and that suddenly at that point of time, you start getting a lot of phone calls. A phone call from your superior, phone call from other departments, and like from your client itself. Like from a lot of people that where is the data? Like, people are not being able to give their attendance. So yes, it's a moment of trouble, right? So this is a scenario where AWS comes into picture. So if instead of storing this information on your local device, if you store this information on AWS or any other cloud platform, you would have a certain backup your data, every of your data. And you could also access your data from anytime, anywhere, from your home, from your office, from like from a plane, a train, a bus, anywhere. So yes, here you may have a question that like why I am so sure that if we use AWS, we would certainly have a backup. Like can there be a situation where AWS fails to back your data up? So yes, there can be situations like when we're talking about AWS, like when we talk about storing our data on AWS, we mean that storing our data on AWS data centers. So these data centers, they host our data, and yes, now you like again can ask that it's a mere data center. Can it not be like have some sort of trouble or like some natural calamity like breaks into or some aliens comes and they simply burn the data center? What will happen? So yes, there might be a case that a cute little spaceship comes and they do burn our data center. So where, like, what we will do in some sort of situation? So AWS has already planned for this kind of situations. So yes, so one data center has linkage to other data centers, other closed data centers, and they have yes. Even though one data center fails, suppose this one was the data center that had that alien calamity, but it is already linked to other data centers. So this data center will have the access on the like yes, access to the data. And what happens? This will keep your system, employee management system, up and running. So yes, no need to be bothered about that. So this kind of situation. This is called availability zones. So AWS have their data centers connected, and true, this entire thing is an availability zone. But suppose like a larger calamity happens, like the entire region is destroyed. In this case, again we're facing that error. What will happen? So AWS has already planned for that as well. So multiple availability zones are connected to their linked so that even if one entire availability zone fails, the other one will still be as a backup. So this thing, what we call this a region, an AWS region. So let us quickly review the AWS global infrastructure because that's a very important concept for us to know that how AWS safeguards our data and how it also, always keep this data like accessible and like yes. So these are availability zone. So an AWS availability zone is consistent with data centers. Multiple data center is within an availability zone. So you can say that availability zone has clusters of data centers and a region. An AWS region has clusters of AWS availability zones. So right now, as of 2023, AWS has 26 region, 84 availability zone, and 310 plus points of presence all over the world. And that's huge. Now, like, suppose after this incident, you go to your CEO and say that, yes, I have previously like suggested you to use AWS to store our data, but you didn't listen. You didn't have faith on cloud computing. Now, look what happened. It's not my fault. It's partially your fault as well. So at this point, your CEO, what happens is your CEO, he gets yes, I guess you're right. I guess if we are a large scale company, we should have been more careful. And what happens? He asks you, okay, let's go for AWS and tell me how to choose a region. Like, what will be our considerations? So at this point, you will start looking for yes, what can be the AWS region considerations. So then, after a certain researches, you come up with the points. Like, what should be our region consideration to start, to select a region? The first thing is compliance, and then latency, price, and service availability. So, okay, let's start with compliance. What we mean by compliance. So, suppose your country or your company, they do not like they do not let you to host your information outside of the country. Suppose you are in UK and your country or your company, it doesn't allow you to store your data outside of the UK region. So what happens is you have only one option. You have London option, and that's where you have to stop looking for it. So sometimes it can be government data. So government or they do not uh, recommend using their hosting their information outside of the country. So that's where compliance comes in. So if you have this sort of what we call it, what's the word, prerequisition. Okay, if you have some sort of this stuff, you'll have to stop with compliance. Okay, you do not need to look for latency or price and any of the other thing. But if your company is lenient about compliance, like you can store your data outside of the country, you can go ahead and look for latency. So what we mean by latency, suppose we have okay, you can uh, uh, see the pointer. Suppose your company stands here, one availability zone is here, and one other uh, availability zone is here. So the one availability zone with less distance, it will give you less latency. So you can select it based on the latency, and then the price. Suppose yes, some availability zone are there which has more, which are overpriced compared to other availability zone for the same service. Like if we are using a container service, suppose South Carolina region, it has less price than South California. Okay, and lastly, service availability. So there are certain availability zones or regions that do not have certain services. So you have to be careful about those as well. So after looking at this consideration, you come to your CEO and say that yes, we have got it. So if we do not have compliance issue, based on the latency, price, and service availability, I choose that availability zone or that region. Yes, this is how you can. Now suppose your IT department comes in and they ask you a question that when we were deploying our service on premises, so we had our data center here. So at any point of time, if we had certain bugs or complaints, we can simply directly we could go to our data center and we could make necessary changes. But when we are shifting the entire process on cloud, when we're doing that, how we will be interacting with AWS? Like if we need to make certain sort of changes, how will we be interacting with AWS? Like it's not that simple uh, as it was, right? So here you have three options or three ways to interact with AWS. So you can use AWS Management Console, and you can also use command line interface or what we call CLI, or you can also go for software development kits or SDKs. So yes, using the three options, you can tell your IT department, yes, you have this three options, so you can choose any of the one based on your comfort zone or convenience. So yes, let us move forward now. Now it's our topic, very own topic of today's session, that what is AWS IAM? So as we know from the title of our session, IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So AWS IAM is a service that allows you to securely control access to services and resources. Like uh, like at the very beginning, your CEO, what he had a confusion, like how will we keep our data secure? So yes, you will have AWS IAM in your hand. So with this, you can securely control the access to all of the AWS services and resources that you have. And AWS IAM, it certainly it acts like a glue. Why I am calling it as a glue, because it works to interact with resources and services. Suppose we have an EC2 instance. We are using an EC2 instance for like our like service, our management, or like our software deployment, and we have a S3 bucket. S3 bucket where we are like having our resources. So using AWS IAM, we can simply connect to like EC2 instance to S3 buckets, and we can have access to our resources that are in the S3 bucket. So and also the access control, it's also in our hand. So okay. AWS IAM, it enables you to manage user identity and permissions. So this is what we call like authorization and authentication. So user identity, it's our authentication. And like what permissions do you have? Suppose a user like user A logs into our like yes logs in, and they request for access for a certain, like suppose for your employee management system. So using the credential, you can simply do the authentication, that yes, he is a authentic user or he belongs to our company. But like what permission does he have? We will do it using the authorization. So yeah, with IAM, you can create and manage users, groups, role, and you can also assign permissions to them. You can control their access to different AWS resources. And yes, we will be we will break this every of this topic. There's users, the groups, their roles, the policy management, and everything. We will be breaking these down, and we will learn more about them in the upcoming times. And also, yes, and IAM, it helps you to enforce the principle of least privilege. So what we call as least privilege is suppose I am a developer and I log into this the system, the employee management system. I do not have I do not need the access to I do not need audit permissions, or I do not need the like what we call it administrative powers. So yes, AWS also like always it enforces the principle of least privilege. So you always have the necessary permission perform the task, or you can have like lower than the necessary permission, but you do not have the over like you do not have power to like control the whole system, like you do not have overpowers. I don't know what words I'm using, so like I hope you understand the concept, and please bear with me. Okay, so IAM users and groups. Okay, let me just quickly check again if I'm still here. Okay. So someone say that it's lagging. Oh, is it still lagging? Hello, I hope I'm visible, and I guess lagging issue it will slow down. Hello. Okay, so that's great. That's a great relief. So, okay, let me just start presenting my screen again. So, yes, we were here. So, what is IAM user and groups? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. We already know this, and root account is created by default, and you shouldn't be used or shared. Like every of the AWS user, they will have a by default a root account. Okay, so for example, if we have that employee management system, and every of the employee within the organization, they will have their personal account first. They will have a root account, but this doesn't comply with their accesses or what they do on the platform. Okay, so users, the IAM user are people within your organization, and they can be grouped. They can be grouped, and they cannot be they can be left without any group as well. So group is a contains user but not other groups. Okay, so here we can see that we have like six people. The three of them, they are the data engineers. Like the D and E, they are from the ML team, and C and D, they are audit team. They have they're an audit team. The C, he is also a data engineer. D, he is from ML team, and both of them in together in a group, they're an audit team. But here, this guy, this F person, he is not in any sort of groups. So yes, user can belong to multiple group like C and D. They have multiple groups, and user don't have to belong in a group as well, like F. Okay, so that's the concept of AWS IAM. Like how they what are the who are the users and how we form groups. And yes, IAM permissions. IAM permission is like we assign permission when the IAM accounts are being generated. They have certain permission. Each IAM role have certain permissions. So this permission is can be assigned using a simple JSON document. It's called policy. So if we will be talking about this JSON file in a bit, and these policies, they can be defined as permission to the user. So you can see here, in a version of 2012, there's here in the effect section, you can see allow. So it will have only two options, either allow or deny. So you can simply allow a user to a certain yes, certain services or resources. Here you can see that what action the user will provide, the user or the group. So the very it's a fun thing of AWS IAM that you can simply assign permission to groups. So you do not need to explicitly create AWS users, IAM users, and then assign one by one permission. You can simply group them all together, like here, like as data engineers or ML team, you can simply group them together and then assign permission. So yes, in case of also while assigning permission, you're here you can see that resource star. What the star means? Star means that you are allowing that particular user to access all the files within that certain directory or this resource. Okay, but you can also restrict the resource as well. So, okay, each of the sections you can see that like effect, action, and resource. So here, the action is for only like list matrices, get the matrix statistics, and describe. So you can either have this actions, or you can also have read only, write only access as well. Okay. So let us understand the policy structure. So we have only this three element that we have already covered, that effect, action, and resource. Effect has only two options, like I have mentioned earlier, that either allow or deny. So what effect does, it specify whether the statement results in like allow or it's an explicit deny. So yes. So if the effect is a deny, the particular user will not be having the access to that certain service. And in case of action, it describes the specific action that will be allowed or denied. So what action will be allowed? Like if the action is like read only access, then if read-only access are allowed, then the person will have only like access to that can only perform read-only action. And on what sort of resources can he can he have that action? Only the resources that are like mentioned. If he can have read-only access for one file, there will be only one file that he will be getting to see. And if it's a star, then he will be having access to all the files. So that's it. I hope it's clear. Let me just check again if it's lagging. Okay, someone is saying that. Could you please share the PPT? Okay, sure. I would try. Yes, I can try sharing it. No issues. Okay, so let us see the policy inheritance. Like I mentioned, that in AWS IAM, we can simply like create groups. We can put members all together in a group and like apply permission, right? So how the policy inheritance happens? So suppose we can like we for data engineers, suppose we have given like we have allowed them to write on specific resources. So all the three people of this group will have the same access, and it's inheritance. They have inherited the permission. And yes, in later, if some other people joins the group, so they will be inheriting the policy, like the inheritance will go with them as well. And same goes for audit team and the ML team. But the single guy here at the very corner, he will have single inline policy because he doesn't belong to any other group. So concepts, it's really simple. So if you just, but this is crucial to know, and there are very fine line between the concepts. So you have to understand and grasp it really well if you want to like dive deeper into your like AWS and cloud journey. So here is a scenario. Suppose I have an EC2 instance app and an Amazon S3 buckets where we have our resources. But what happens is our app, it needs an AWS access key ID and secret access key to sign in. But suppose, okay, for example, in our employee management system, we have 5,000 users. Okay, let's assume there are 5,000 user, and in like for giving them for making them AWS root user to IAM user, do we make 5,000 like accounts again? Like what will our administrator do? Will he like be creating like 5,000 different AWS IAM user and then assign role to each one of them? Like won't be a very like difficult, and like we are talking about 5,000, but a company like suppose a global company, they have like I don't know, they have millions of staffs and users. So what will they do? So in this particular scenario where we do not want to create a AWS IAM user for this app particularly, and also with our root user, we have some hard code credential like we have our username and password. But what our EC2 instance wants? Our EC2 instance, it wants us to give AWS access key ID and secret access key. So it's not our like regular ID and password. So in this case, here our AWS IAM roles come in. So what roles does is like we have our root users, and what we can do is we can simply we were talking about it. We can simply group the users and allow them a IAM role. So in this way, we do not need to create a separate IAM user, like separate account. We can simply assign them a role. So what role does is the role for a temporary period of time. It it's like a cap. A role is you can see the like. Okay, yes, okay, no. So this is the this is how we denote IAM role. Okay, it's like a cap. Suppose I am I'm from ML team, but for a certain portion of time, I need access to yes, I need access to the data engineers file. So yes, so from like a person from this group needs an access to this group. So what will happen? He will get access. He will get IAM role. So with that role, he can simply he will have a certain portion of time. So it's not a permanent rule; it's something temporary. And the password, the password will have its expiry timeline as well. So for a little portion of time, the ML team member will have access to the data engineer's files. So this is how role works. So some AWS service, it needs to perform action on your behalf. Like in our case, the data engineers on behalf of the data engineer, an ML teammate can come up and work. So to do so, we will assign permission. So yes, the permission is assigned to the ML member, uh, and he's given a role, and the compound role of AWS IAM, like yes, on AWS is EC2 instance role. Like in our case, we are using an EC2 instance for our our employee management system. There can be also Lambda function. You can also like there will be DynamoDB and other database functions as well, and role for cloud formation. So yes, AWS IAM role, we have already talked about this. It's no static login credential. It will have access key and secret, secret access key and yes, access key ID. So we will not have any hardcode credential like passwords and all. So IAM roles are assumed programmatically. So it's not something you will be having for life. And also credentials are temporary and for a configurable amount of time. So the amount of time it is configurable. So you can extend it or you can yes, you know that. And yeah, credential expire and they're rotated. Like if you have a certain password, like your administrator gives you an IAM role, and you're given like the credential, the like access ID and secret access key. You're given those, and based on those, you have a like password. You can simply like sign in, and you can change your password as well. And that password, it will have an expiry time. Okay, so yes, the password policy. We were talking about a lot of, like, we were talking a lot about passwords. So yes, AWS requires you to have a strong password for higher security at your account. And one fun thing is you can set up your own password policy. So you can set a minimum length of your password, for example, 8 or 10. Yes, you can set a minimum length of that, or you can also like have that like authority to set a specific password length. For example, you can set like 8 digits, so your password will always be of 8 digits. So it can include uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, non-alphanumeric like characters, like in regular passwords what we have. And AWS, it allows all IAMs to change their own password. Like, yes, we mentioned it earlier, and yes, it requires users to change their password after some time. After some time means like before the expiration of a password, and it what happens is like it prevents password reuse. Yes. So how can user access AWS? So to have an AWS app access, you have three options. Like you can have like management console, like at the very where was that? Yes, here we have like uh, in short, we had talked about management console and command line interface and AWS software development kit. So we had the three options to interact with AWS, right? So yes, how we can use these three options to get into the AWS. So if you use AWS management console, we can have a protected password and we can use MFA. What we mean by MFA is multi-factor authentication. So you do not like have only a certain mail and password. Only one password will not be like keeping you protected. So you will have like two-factor authentication, or you can have layers to that. And yes, if you're using AWS command line interface, you will have a protected like access key, and for SKs, you will have code for like code protected by that access key. And yes, access key, what are like access name and the secret access key, it can be your password. In like if we're talking about AWS IAM, and the access keys it are like they're generated using AWS console. Yes, you can see from AWS console there will be an option roles. From the roles option, you can create a role, and there you can get your like access keys on the console. And user can manage their own access key. Yes, you can manage your own access key, and these are secret, just like password. So it's never recommended to share your access key, even though they can be temporary or anything else. Never ever share the access key. So yes, just a while ago we mentioned multi-factor authentication. So user can access to your account and can possibly like configure or delete some of the very important resources from your AWS account if you are not having like multi-factor authentication. So for the password and the security device, so this can be a like hardware security device, or you can use some online security or some like yes some like yes mobile some security device as well to create your own like protected environment. So even if your password is stolen, your account will not be compromised, and you will be having like ways to recover your account. Okay, so yes, so we have virtual MFAs. These are software applications that runs on mobile phone, just like I just mentioned. And yes, keep in mind that these applications can run on unsecured mobile devices. So we do not look in our mobile devices. It itself is not that much secured. So because of that, you may not be providing the same level of security as hardware or YouTube app device. So, like for virtual MFAs, we will have like Authy or Duo Mobile, LastPass, or Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator. So these are certainly apps that are available on Play Store itself. And then hardware MFA devices. These are like generally a key fob or like a display card device, which you can use to generate suppose 6-digit numeric like codes. So yes, it's key fob or display card, and you will also have U2F. So it's a device to plug into your USB port on your computer. So it's a like UV. Okay. We can now talk about the authentication. So IAM credential In IAM security tool, you can have IAM credential report. It's for the account levels report that leads all of the users, all of the accounts user and the status. It's for suppose the administrator, he can see all of the user what and their status. And for you personally, for you are using a AWS IAM role, what can he see? He can see an IAM access advisor. So he can his access advisor. It shows the services permission to a user and when those services are last accessed. So which permissions do you have, and when you last access those permissions? So you can see that list from the auditing. And yes, shared responsibility model. It's a very important concept when we're talking about AWS IAM, but even AI, like AWS itself. So suppose I have a AWS account, like the root, I am the root user, and like what responsibility do I have, and what responsibility is of AWS? So AWS, it will manage the infrastructure, the global network security. It will manage or handle the configuration and the vulnerability analysis, and it will do the compliance validation. So it will be working on a broader area. But if I'm talking about myself, what I will be having what will be my responsibility? So I will have the responsibilities to safeguard the data in my account as well, right? So my responsibility will be to the users, groups, and roles and policies. Suppose I have certain IAM users, and I have applied policies to certain groups. So I will be responsible for those stuff, and also enabling MFA. It will be my responsibility to enable MFA so that my account is secured, and also rotating all my access keys and other applying appropriate tools and permissions. It will be my responsibility, and also access pattern. So if we will be in charge to view access patterns and see if there is any malicious like access pattern or not. So yes. So in short, my responsibility for security will be within the cloud. So everything in my cloud account will be my responsibility. But everything of the cloud account, everything that's related to the security of that cloud will be the responsibility of AWS itself. So my region will be the datas, the platforms, the IAMs and the operating systems and all. AWS, it will be covering the entire software, the compute resources, storage, databases, and the network. So I hope it's clear. If we just look at it a bit more, so in case of infrastructure services, but at the very beginning, I mentioned that IaaS, infrastructure as a service. In this case, AWS is responsible for the entire infrastructure and the foundation, the blueprints of it. And for a customer like me, I will be in control of whatever is within that infrastructure, like the operating system, the programs, the managing data, everything will be my responsibility. So in case of container services, the again the infrastructure and the foundation services, the OSS and everything will be AWS's responsibility, and I will be in charge of the data, encryption of the data and protection of the data using firewalls and backups. And lastly, there will be some abstracted services. So for those, AWS will operate the infrastructure layer, the OS and the platform, as well as server side encryption and data protection. In my case, I will be responsible for managing the customer data again, and protecting client side encryption. So now we are clear that my responsibility as a customer will be handling the data I am storing and what is within my account, and AWS will store what are they like offering, the entire structure. So yeah, we are at the end, and in summary, I can say that like let me check again. Okay. So in summary, we can say that AWS IAM user is mapped to physical user, and like you have the access keys and like you have the access key ID and the secret access key. And in case of groups, groups are contained only with users, so you can group multiple users and then allow the policies and permissions. And policies are JSON document. We have uh, we have seen them in a very brief manner, and we will have AWS rules. AWS rules is like assigning temporary permission to a certain set of accesses and rules to yes. Suppose you're from ML team and you need access to data engineers team, so you can get AWS IAM roles. And as for security, we have talked about MFA, multi-factor authentication, and password policies. And we know about access keys and audits. Like we have mentioned the IAM credential reports and IAM access factor. So yes, so now we can see the industry leader that who are building on AWS, like Netflix, Toyota, Moderna. So they are not like your CEO, right? Who were thinking that using AWS or a cloud platform to manage our data will not be secure or will be something we're doing to making our data publicly available. So that's not the case, right? So yes, if you're a student, you can check out this link. Mm, okay, and there are some other like AWS Student Hub. Here we will you will have like labs and workspace accesses, and you will getting AWS Cloud Club. You can apply for to be an AWS Cloud Captain. You will see events and like much more resources. So AWS Cloud Club, like is a student focused group, and we have certain benefits. So you will be getting to know about more on the portal because I'm running out of time. So yes, and you will also have digital trainings. Those are cost effective, flexible, and convenient. So you can go over the training modules and you can see which one is like convenient for you, like which one do you actually need. You can select those and you can see the digital trainings on demand. So yes, and you will also have AWS certification. AWS certifications are very like highly evaluated. So there are for foundational certification, the associate certifications, and the professional ones. So 97% of people they say that like this certification like they have put their company in a better competitive position, and like certifications are for your career development. It's something unbeatable. Like if you have a certification, like I personally don't have an AWS certification till now, but I have 6 Microsoft certifications. And when you have a certification, like this journey of obtaining that certification is like getting more and more grip over the concept. So certification indicates that you are a person who is reliable on that particular like field field of technology. And yes, thank you for being there. It would be great if you fill out this survey. So I will be keeping it like this. I hope it's visible. So please do fill out this survey, and I will be putting the link on the chat. Okay, I can see that from the chat. I have certain questions. Okay, let's go one by one. Okay. European GDPR is related to compliance. Yes, it is related to compliance because you do not have the permission to do the data storing outside the region. And then I get the PPT file for our reading. It will be helpful. Okay, so for the PPT sharing, okay, I will be editing this live chat description and I will be giving the link to this YouTube tutorial itself. And also, if I talk about a shared responsibility concept, same like role-based access control or layer-based access or admin general user gradually etc. No, shared responsibility model is something like if you are a user, it's not like role-based or it's not something that like it's your personal responsibility. It's something like this that if you are a user of AWS technologies, what does AWS have in hand for their responsibility and what you personally have in at your hand. So you cannot blame for anything that goes wrong within the account. Like you cannot blame AWS for those. For example, in our CEO in our company case, so if the data gets disappeared, yeah, if we suppose, okay, let me just be a little bit brief. Suppose your company for the same employee management system, you have your okay, so you migrate to cloud, and now you have your data all like your all of the data on cloud, and the users do not enable multi-factor authentication. So if you do not enable MFA, so what happens is a person can easily get into your account. So something like some malicious attack happens, and then what happens is your data within the account it gets disappeared again. So now, in this case, is it your responsibility to to safeguard those data, or it's a part of AWS infrastructure? So that's the case. And now your CEO may again say that yes, you say that AWS would be reliable, but look what happened again. But you know the fault, right? So is shared responsibility concept same like role-based access control? No, it's not a layered access. It's not some access or access control. It's just some set of responsibility that we divide and we will be perform our responsibility accordingly. So that's it. Okay. It's cool that Anup he said that Mitul Bhaiya, do you give some speeches? Okay, yes. I hope Mitul's speeches is coming. Like he will be having a session on AWS technology soon, I suppose. So yes, I would be looking forward to it as well. And I hope the survey. Okay. Can you please let me know if you have already filled out the survey? Okay, so it's my bad. Okay, you are an attendee today. I know that, but yes. Thanks, Journal. And thank you everyone for joining the session today. It was fun for me and it was a great experience to talk about like in a different manner going to the live and yes and have a great night, I guess. Okay, so I'm not talking with you didn't see the form. I have pasted the link, or if you see the screen, there is a QR code, right? So that's the form link. And also, I have pasted the link in the chat. Okay, wasn't it visible? Okay, I have shared the link again. So thank you, everyone. I hope you could get the concepts. I tried my best to get make it really brief and concise. And yes, I hope you had a great time and fun time with me learning. And the time